Have you ever felt like your mind is always full? It's like there's a traffic jam of thoughts, worries, and tasks that just keep piling up. There's a Japanese word that offers a new way to look at life: Yutori. You're about to explore a concept that invites a slower rhythm and maybe a bit more room in your day and your mind. Yutori. A kind word that reminds us of something that our modern society has forgotten. Picture a traditional Japanese house. The rooms are spacious and clean, with only the essentials. Everything has its place, and every room has life. There is no rush, and there's no unnecessary clutter. There is space. Yutori is exactly that, but for your mind. It's about creating intentional pauses in your thoughts and actions, even when you're busy. When Japanese people talk about Yutori, they're referring to a way of life where you can go through the day without feeling rushed. It's as if you can finally take a deep breath and realize that there is enough space around you and within you. Think about how it feels to step into a space that's open and uncluttered. Your breath deepens, your body softens, and your mind naturally quiets down. Yutori is that, but on the inside. And in that space, creativity returns. Ideas come uninvited. And sometimes, even your sense of purpose shifts. These are moments of natural Yutori, when the mind is free to wander. But this kind of space isn't about doing nothing. It's about creating room to breathe on your own terms. Modern life has sold us a dangerous illusion that being busy means being productive, that taking breaks is a luxury, that empty time is wasted time. But your mind needs these breaks. Instead of adding another technique to your busy routine, you simply recognize that you can choose a different pace. A pace that is good for both action and rest. A pace that makes sense to you. At first, Yutori might sound like just another name for something you already practice or understand. But naming something, giving shape to an experience, can help us recognize and invite it more often. And that happens slowly, over time. Once, I was walking along a beach on vacation. I noticed some smooth, shiny shells and stones. Without thinking, I began picking them up and slipping them into my pockets. That moment, choosing pebbles, noticing patterns, imagining what I might do with them, was a quiet form of Yutori. I was giving myself the space to simply be there. As I looked closer, I noticed something. The stones were all different sizes, from large to tiny. Handling them made something click. A quiet reminder that life also unfolds in layers and stages. And that part of creating space is accepting the time it takes. Think about this. How is the sand beneath our feet formed? It takes thousands of years, countless collisions of rocks, to become fine grains. It took millions of years for a single rock to transform into a grain of sand. This process is a delicate balance of time, patience, softness, and beauty, all small shape beneath the sea. So why am I telling you this? Because sometimes we need to remember that new ideas take time. They don't land all at once. They settle in slowly, layer by layer. Nothing transforms overnight. It's a continuous process, but one that needs to move at the pace your life allows. You don't have to feel guilty for skipping a task or for not being at your best every single day. That's not failure. That's being human. Things take time, and the most meaningful growth often happens quietly when you respect your own rhythm. Productivity has quietly become a measure of personal worth, as if every minute needs to be useful and taking a break is seen as laziness. There's always something you should be doing. This mindset creates something quietly harmful: toxic productivity. The feeling that your value depends on how much you produce, how efficient you are, how well you optimize your time. Over time, it takes a toll. We start to feel guilty for having moments of stillness. Ideas stop flowing. Creativity dries up. Decisions become rushed, not because we lack ability, but because we lack space. The paradox is that the more you try to be productive all the time, the less productive you truly become. You get stuck in urgency and lose sight of what really matters. Yutori invites us to pause. It creates space for the fast-moving river of thoughts and emotions to slow down. The water clears, and what was always there beneath the surface finally becomes visible. The difference is subtle, but it changes everything. Toxic productivity makes you work harder. Yutori helps you work better. And here's the thing: resting is not the same as distracting yourself. Spending hours in front of a screen or scrolling through your feed isn't Yutori. Your mind is still being filled, stimulated, rushed. Yutori is the space where your mind is allowed to simply exist. No noise, no pressure, no purpose, just presence. And it's in that space that the truest ideas often begin to take shape. The difference is in the intention, the willingness to truly experience moments. Instead of rushing to fill every little gap, try leaving some empty on purpose. Let's see what happens. Imagine waking up 20 minutes earlier than usual. You don't have to do anything specific. Just create that space. Think about how you might spend that time, or how you'd like to. When you have 20 minutes without a set plan, your mind starts doing interesting things. Sometimes you remember to call a friend you haven't spoken to in a while. Other times, you have an idea that solves a work problem you've been dealing with for weeks. Or maybe you just take your dog for a walk. Yutori can happen in the late afternoon too. When you get home, instead of jumping straight into chores or turning on the TV, you pause for a few minutes to check in with yourself and your feelings. Maybe you just want to sit on the couch and rest after a busy day. Maybe you feel like making a favorite snack. Or maybe your mind begins to process the day's experiences, connect scattered thoughts, and inspire you to pick up a project you'd forgotten about. You don't need to reorganize your whole life today. You don't need a completely empty schedule or a minimalist home. You need to make small spaces in a world that wants to fill them up. When you make space for your mind, you make space for your soul to breathe. When your soul breathes, your whole life changes.